Uncle from tacticalgamer.com here again, and this is going to be the third in a series of mission editing tutorials working with our mission template files. In the last one, we actually completed the rest of the mission as far as killing the HVT officer, giving a notification and a trigger that the officer was killed, and then once the Gorgon was destroyed, another trigger would fire off and say that the mission was completed, as long as the HVT officer was also killed as well. And that was it. If the officer is killed and the Gorgon is killed, then the mission is completed. Anywho, now what we'd need is make sure, and I forgot to mention this last time, that the independents are set to friendly to nobody, because by default they're set to friendly to Blufor. So that needs to be done. Also, we've got our mission name, which is fine in here, and description. Using the CO06 is always good, because when players are picking the mission from the mission selection screen, they need to know how many players it could be. So this is a good format to keep. Okay, and what we're going to get into now is doing the briefing, which will also set up some tasks for us as well. Now, there was a marker on the town. I think we moved a marker over here. No, we didn't. This marker here that comes with the template called marker name. Okay, I'm going to move this one over here because we're using it in the briefing to give an indication of where we need to go. So I'm going to put this marker over here, and then I'm going to change it to be something like red and use the objective thing, and I use the convention where I say mark, and then marker objectives, so I always remember the name. And we'll call it objective green. Alright, let's go to our briefing file and take a look at that. Okay, so here we are, and here is the briefing.sqf. I use Notepad++ to edit it, and I changed my language to be SQL. Alright, so here are the items that you see in the briefing. One is credits. This mission is by your name, okay, we're not using the civilian occupation system in this mission, so I'm going to take it out. Actually, I'll leave that in there for now, but as you see, you can edit this as you need. Okay, and this one, something you need to know. And I'm just going to say the objectives. So I've got the objectives are to eliminate an enemy officer and his personal LAV located at objective green. And actually I'm going to cut that text out. So I got a space and then marker name, as I changed the name of the marker. So it was marker objectives. and then I'm going to paste what I want to be the highlight for that here. objective green, and I usually like to keep it all capitals too because it makes it easier to see that it's a hyperlink. And there we go. The BR backslash in the greater than and less than signs is a hard return, so it'll go down in line. When you put two of them in a row, it'll leave a space between the lines. And I don't think there is any further information that they would need to know. It would be I've already said this, they have to eliminate them, so that should be it. So I can just clean that all up and leave the rest of that line the way it is. Mission end. Mission end will be mission will complete. Both HVT are destroyed. There is no support vehicles, but they are going to need transportation, which we didn't set up before, so that's the last thing that we'll add in this. Holy smokes, that's kind of long. Okay, so I'll say vehicles. Okay, so I'm going to leave another marker down here at the base so they know where the base is. Marker name equals respawn west, which was the name of the marker at the main base. And then the text will be I don't know what name for the base. And all capitals, just because I like that convention. Only quad bikes. Okay, so that should give us another clickable link on the map. Now here's a task. Simple task. I'm going to create a simple task called task 1, and it's going to be and just change the text to be for our officer. And I'm going to set that to be created. That will work fine. Now I'm going to copy this because we got a second task and paste in this. Make sure I change the names to task 2. And this one will be destroy Gorgon. We'll say this is assigned. And that should be it for our briefing. Now we're going to need to have some, now that we've got tasks in there, we're going to need to have some triggers that are going to make sure that we set these task states to be correct when the officer is killed and when the Gorgon is killed as well. Alright, and we'd also need then to have an end condition in case they do not complete the tasks. So that'll be a bit more complicated. We'll just deal with this for now, and we'll go back in the game and put in the triggers we need to make the tasks work. Okay, so back in the game now, we already had a trigger here that was grouped to the officer. So it's grouped to the vehicle, which is the officer, and it is going to fire because it doesn't just fire on the server, it'll fire on every connected computer and the server. Okay, so I'm just going to add something in here where I'm going to say task 1 set task. Boy, it's a pain in the neck. That's why I always turn off the Steam overlay in ArmA. I just find it such a pain. State. So I'm going to change the task state for that task 1 to succeeded. Okay, and that'll do that without a pop-up notification, but that's fine. And we can get into how to do that later if you really want to. You can do it with the in-game modules here too. I could have also, if I had created my task with in-game modules, I could control it using the triggers and just syncing them, but I like this way because it just seems a lot easier to control. We've already got the template, so we'll stick with it. Now, the last one is when the mission is completed. We don't have one specifically for if the Gorgon is killed, and I guess I could do that quite simply as well by adding another trigger. We'll do it that way. That way they'll at least get a notification. If they kill the Gorgon first, they get a notification that that happened, and then they would move on to kill the officer second. So it really doesn't matter which order they do it in. So I'm not going to worry about any of the stuff for this right now, because I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to use the last time we grouped it to the vehicle. This time I'm not going to. I'm just going to go not alive, and it was HVT Gorgon, wasn't it? Double check. HVT Gorgon is the name of that object, so this will work, and I can make the trigger area to be infinite by setting this to 0. I can even set the time that it takes to register the task as being completed, because it's always kind of funny that you kill the last guy in the mission and it immediately ends. It doesn't seem like it took any time for any reporting to go back to HQ. So like as soon as you kill the guy, HQ goes, that's it, you're done. So you can control that sort of and make it a bit more realistic by doing something like putting in minimum 10 seconds timer, mid range maybe 20, max maybe 40, something like that. So it'll choose a random time after this has happened, and we can get into more what countdown timeout means later, but because I don't really remember which is which all the time. One just counts down as soon as the event happens, counts down until the event after the event happens, and we'll trigger it. And the other one does something like it. Once this is true, it does the timing, and if it's still true at the end of the timing, then it does it. Anywho, that will be that. And if that happens, then on activation, task 2. Set task state equals succeeded, and that will set those tasks right. Okay, what's going on with that? Oh, it's not equal to. You don't need the equal to. Set task state succeeded. Okay, that should be that. Let's give it a test. Alright, so now just getting into the mission here. Now we should see our briefing, and it says There's several hunters and trucks available for transfer from your base, and something went wrong with that. Okay. Okay, so I was just doing a quick preview and ran into a problem, and I think it is that it doesn't like this special character in the marker name. So I'm just going to remove that from here on the objective green marker, and we will do the same on the. Oh, we can't do that there. So I'm going to create a new marker, and we'll call this one FOB. What did we call it? Stinson. And since I'm going to park some vehicles over here, and I might as well just throw some down at this point. Some empty cars. Let's give them some hunters. Just Control copy, Control C, and Control V over top of these things. Place a few down. Shouldn't need a truck, but there we go, just in case they want to use one, and a couple of quad bikes like I'd said. So I'll just paste in a hunter, change it to a quad bike, tornado, and then throw down a few more of those. Separate them out a little bit. Throw in a module. We'll call this a multiplayer module, and we're going to use the vehicle respawn. I'm going to say the respawn in their starting position. They do not delete, or they just delete when they're gone. I don't want any notifications. Respawn when disabled, and they will respawn after they are deserted for 40 meters, and let's say a delay of 60 seconds. Now I'm going to ungroup this because modules automatically get grouped with any other modules that are close by, so I'm just going to use the group tool, ungroup that, and now I'm going to use the synchronize tool and synchronize those vehicles to that module, and they will be the only ones that respawn. Alright, let's give it a preview. Oh, no, I gotta go change the text. So in here, let's see if I change my objective, my marker names, take out that there, and I'm not using the respawn west, I am using FOB Stinson. Alright, save that up and preview. Next, we'll get into the description.ext file, and we'll change up that splash screen so it actually has our names on it. Now, let's get to the briefing. That looks better. Yes. There's several hunters and trucks available for transport from your base at FOB Stinson, and it zooms in at FOB Stinson. Only quad bikes will respawn. Objectives. The objectives are to eliminate an enemy officer and his personal LAV located at objective green, and then it will zoom in and show us where objective green is. Alright. Tasks. We have the kill the enemy officer, destroy the officer's personal Gorgon. Alright, let's see that test that it actually completes now. So I get into my Zeus, go to my map, move my camera over here, come out of my map, and there is the officer making his way on his patrol. Let's do this in reverse order. Destroy the Gorgon. Check my map and my tasks. And it's going to give it some time, remember, before this is going to complete. I also could put a hint in there so it will pop up and let us know to go look at the map. We'll add that later. There we go. Our task is completed for the Gorgon. And where is my officer gone? There he is. Kill the officer. And our tasks have been completed. Next up, we'll look at the description.ext. And that will also change our briefing here to whatever we want.